The Kitchen Table Incension Podcast, brought to you by the Bibi blog. Are we fully human yet?
On June 18th, 2019, I was interviewed by the delightful Kelly Farmer of Explaining Esoterica. It was a great experience and a wonderful conversation. I hope you enjoy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Explaining Esoterica. Tonight, I'm very excited to be joined by Bibi of the Bibi blog. I caught the mute, so I'm glad I caught that. So for those of you who do not know Bibi, she is one of the sweetest ladies in the community. She's also one of the only people I know that's been kicked out of a David Wilcock lecture. She has a video about her own experiences actually with the SBA, which I have linked down below, along with her invisibility and disappearance experience that we'll be talking about a little bit later in the show. So she was born in Chicago in the 1950s. Bibi's never conformed to the ideals of a proper lady by those in authority. Instead, she's lived her life on her own terms, accumulating fascinating and wonderful experiences. In adulthood, she spent multiple years as an actress, consciousness explorer, photographer, and storyteller. You can catch her podcast here on YouTube. The link is below. Also, if you have any questions for her, please be sure to put them in all caps in the chat. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Bibi.
Hello. Oh, I am hearing feedback, but unless we hear reports, I think we're fine, right?
Yeah. Hopefully the chat will let us know.
I'm so happy to be here, Kelly.
I am happy that you're here, and I hope that that intro for you is good, because I just made that up.
On the fly, baby. It was wonderful.
Thank you. I'm glad that it worked out. So we have a bunch of people in chat, just to let you know, Bibi.
Cool. Hi, guys.
It's all of our friends.
Thanks for being here. Can you hear the fan in the background? I forgot to turn it off.
I cannot hear it, but they're saying that my mic might be hot.
Okay.
Hopefully that's better.
I just turned mine down too.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. So okay, everybody says they cannot hear your fan, so they're all happy.
Yay! And I'm cool.
All right. So Bibi, just to get us started, what is your earliest memory of a supernatural experience that you've had?
It's a little difficult to speak this out loud. This is something that hasn't been with me forever, but I recalled this about 4 years ago. I was adopted and I was put into my parents' home. They took me home with them when I was 2 months old. So when I was still in the adoption agency, quote unquote, orphanage, although it was a very nice place, I have a memory of being in the crib there. I remember faces over me, and in the memory itself that I recalled quite spontaneously, no kind of what do you call it, regression, meditation, or anything like that. It came up very powerfully, and I journaled it. What was odd was the sensation of feeling that I had to go undercover. I had to hide myself. I mean, we all feel that born into the culture and this society, but this was a specific sense memory of absolute urgency that I had to go undercover. And the sensation that arose was like being a piece of origami that I folded into myself. Now, that's really off the wall because that's very, very young. I know most people won't believe it, but that's a memory in answer to your question. Who was there? I don't know. I just know that I had to go undercover or I was going to be found out.
No, that's amazing. I haven't heard a lot of people that have had memories from that young.
It's unusual. I've met a few, since sharing that, and I do it rather surreptitiously. So here I'm saying it just to everybody. And I don't care if people believe me or not. They're my experiences, and I feel that way about other people's experiences. We resonate with what we are drawn to. And if you're not drawn to my information, that's fine. I mean, I I'm not about proving anything. Just wanted to get that out of the way.
No, that's amazing. And I completely believe you. So, and a lot of people in the chat do too. So that is the awesome part.
Well, that says something about the people that you draw. They resonate with you. This is good.
Thank you. So you've had those experiences your whole life, right?
I have. I remember flying when I was a toddler, and I swear I was flying. I flew around the neighborhood with my friends, and it was more like levitating. I'm sure they were more like dreams or astral projections, but when we're really, really small, there's no difference between the sleeping dream and the waking dream or the experience. It's all this amazing, awesome experience, right? Mm-hmm. And I have very, very vivid memory. It was more like levitating than actual flying, but I want to remember how to do that. It was so cool. And when I was very young, I would say about 4 years old, a little bit older, there was a ship. Mm-hmm. I mean, like a Captain Hook style ship that was very small, big enough for about 3 people, that would hover outside my bedroom window. Make of that what you will. I would walk up to my window and it would be beautiful. And with these silky sails kind of fluttering in the air, just like a 1500s English ship. A Captain Hook's ship. Yeah, so that was there. I don't know what that means, but that is a very, very vivid memory. Yeah.
I find that really interesting because you're not the first person that I've actually that type of ship where it looks like an actual pirate ship, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
You know, Kelly, I was reading somewhere in the last year and I fell off my chair. I wish I could remember where I found this, but somebody was describing an abduction experience and they described exactly what I saw. And I'd never seen that before. It blew me away. I have no memories of being abducted or anything of that nature.
Okay. Still very fascinating. So there's a tie that people are seeing. I don't know, because part of me wonders if it's just like projection, like to say that, oh, you're used to seeing this type of ship, so maybe that's the way that it's coming to people. Or if it's possibly the same beings that are coming that are showing that type of ship.
I've attempted to connect some family dots, and there is a possibility that there was some kind of other than human connection with advanced technology and beings, etc. I haven't done any regressions. I just haven't been interested enough. You know, even with my Denver airport experience, I haven't really wanted to do that. I trust stuff that comes up spontaneously for me, and I do get vivid revelations. So I prefer that route rather than being led on a meditation journey by someone else, if the truth be known.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's something that I've debated back and forth on whether or not to do regression.
So you haven't either?
I've not.
Interesting.
Yes. So, all right. So here's my next question. So keeping on the same topic. Mm-hmm. What event, though, really kicked off your desire to start really researching and exploring these topics?
My grandmother's death when I was 12 years old. We had a summer home. I grew up in Chicago. We spent our summers on Lake Michigan, directly across the lake in northern Indiana. It was a great place. And I remember waking up, my dad saying, Bibi, Grandma passed away last night. Got to the house and it was very strange. Just the whole family dynamic shifted. And there was this, I was seeing things in what I've later come to understand as sort of a psychedelic glow. I was catapulted into a different state from this. Now, I was extremely close with my grandmother. My grandparents loved me beyond anything, and I'm so grateful to that experience. So losing her was huge. The first night, I dreamed that I went downstairs, although I didn't know I was dreaming in the dream. We lived in a 6-flat apartment building right in the city. Their apartment was directly underneath ours, and there was a staircase down to the entry hall that led outside. And her front door was on the right, and I went like I always did. I knocked on it, and she answered the door, and we were so happy to see each other. Wow. I haven't said this out loud in a very long time. It's emotional for me. I still miss her. This was a long time ago, guys.
I can imagine that.
People that we love and their energies. So she was in her nightgown. I noticed that. And then I noticed that her teeth were missing. Now, this was a woman who was like a fashion plate. She wouldn't go anywhere without her pearls on, let alone her teeth, you know. And she saw me. She noticed that I was looking at her strangely, and she got this look of absolute abject. Was it terror? Was it horror? As I look back on it, it feels like she is seeing in me the angel of death. I think and this kept happening for the week, even after her funeral. And I would run upstairs, my heart pounding, and I would wake up just as I felt myself leaping back into bed and missing the edge of the bed and falling on the floor. That happened for a week. It was really, really scary because I was in a different place. It's not that I was scared of my grandmother at all. I was scared of what she saw, her look. She was so afraid. And it was after that I started hearing whisperings, little voices, sounds. When I would be around with my family, things would happen regarding my grandmother for about 2 years after that. My mother would hear, when she was holding her teacup, the sound of the spoon tinkling around the rim. She said, "Bibi, it only happens when you're here." So that was interesting. But I started seeing shadows and having auditory experiences. I'm not going to say voices per se, although some of it was, but visual and auditory changes commenced with my grandma's death. Let me put it that way.
That's crazy. I mean, do you think it's possible that also, because I've heard, I've researched a lot of these things, because I've heard that, also the age that it happened is also really common as you're starting to go into your teens, that sometimes people experience an amplification at that point as well. Right. It might have been like the combination of the two of, the traumatic experience plus those together, really.
Yes. And young girls of that age are known to be extremely susceptible to psychic influences. So there were a lot of factors that played into it then. Definitely.
That's very intense, and I can imagine very emotional for you as well.
It was. And, from an emotional standpoint and the family side of it, I couldn't talk to anybody about it. It was very personal and very private. I never told my friends. It wasn't until I probably was in my mid-20s that I ever told anybody about it.
Wow. That sounds good, Bibi.
There was one other thing, if I may. At her actual funeral, there were 2 bumblebees. Now, I have always had a terror of bumblebees. I mean, I looked ridiculous screaming, running down the street, being chased by bees. But at her funeral, when they were putting her coffin into the ground, bees, there was one on the coffin, and it was doing like this figure 8 down to the coffin and back up to me. I was transfixed. Nobody else seemed to notice it. I wasn't afraid. And I remember thinking, this is Grandma saying, it's okay. I love you. Goodbye. All is well. You know, that was very beautiful. And she was using my name. And they were big, fat, drunken, like portly. Like, it was funny and sweet. So.
No, that is good. It's so beautiful to receive a message like that as well.
You know, it strikes me many people are so afraid of anything that's out of the ordinary experience. Anything anomalous is to be feared. And I have to say that most of my experiences are so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. They remind me of myself as a kid. And it's really, it's like a mission of mine. I want to fully recover that hypnagogic being awake state. Mm-hmm. I do get glimpses of it, and it's really gorgeous. Nothing to be afraid of. I mean, there's much to respect, etc. Mm-hmm. But it's really okay to do these consciousness explorations, if you will.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And the experiences that you've shared with me thus far, and that I've heard about from you, all sound like they're beautiful. And it makes sense because you're such like a positive person, so you would draw those types of positive, beautiful experiences. It makes sense to me, at least.
Well, that's kind of you to say. And it's true. You know, we do draw. Is that me? Feedback?
I think it's
okay. We draw in what we put out there.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's move on to one of those experiences. Could you give us a brief summary of what happened to you at the Denver airport?
Yes. So much happened that year. This was in December of 2011. Mm-hmm. So just a little bit of information is that Tom is my husband, my boyfriend, my partner in crime. We went to see Stephen Greer speak at Conscious Life Expo, and he'd never done anything like this. And I was just becoming interested in ufology at that point in time. And on the way home, these very interesting tones downloaded themselves onto my phone. And that's all I'll say here, but they were on my phone. I was hell-bent on figuring out, isolating. There were voices. It's a group of voices, and it would change. We come to tell our truth, or tell the truth of our story. It would veer back and forth. Tom is my witness. He freaked out. He didn't want to listen to it anymore. But I really wanted to isolate these voices. So we had a flight to catch. We were in Denver. I didn't know anything about the airport then whatsoever. I'm kicking myself because I would have liked to have looked around for the stuff that I've read about. Anyway, we were in this waiting room, and we had about a 90-minute wait. And there was this little computer station, and I had brought my laptop. Tom was sitting in the row of seats. We were about 20 feet at the most, maybe 15 feet away from each other. So I grabbed my stuff. It was wintertime, December. I had a winter coat. I had my laptop, my computer bag, and my weekender bag, and my purse. And I'm all crowded into this 3-seater computer station. So I put my headphones on, and I just blissed out listening to the tones. Mm-hmm. I really blissed out. I mean, I went very, very deep. And I was aware of people around me. I was aware of little sounds, but something felt different. I looked up. It was dark. There was nobody there. It had been a packed room, by the gate, waiting for the, where the ticket desk is. And it was dark, empty. So that was a shock. I got up. I gathered my stuff. I was not in shock. I was confused and bewildered, really. I wanted to know where Tom was. Where did he go? So, long story short, after 10 minutes of wandering around, most of the lights in the airport are off. It was after 10 p.m. This is about almost 4 hours after I originally sat down. And it felt like maybe an hour had gone by, if that much. Here he was coming down an opposite corridor. He was absolutely furious. He thought that I had gotten on the plane without him. He had paged me. I didn't answer. He said when he looked up when they announced that the plane was ready to board, my seat was empty. All my stuff was gone. I wasn't there. And I hadn't left, Kelly. I hadn't gotten out of the seat. All I know is I had all my stuff. It was bulky stuff. I had my headphones on. And we were kind of getting, a little short with each other. And we both just stopped. And I mean, what do? You have missing time. Tom's telling me that I went invisible. We didn't talk, and we missed the last flight to LA. So we stayed overnight. And I was really glad because I just wanted to process what I haven't really processed it. It happened. It was when I was listening to those tones. Mm-hmm. There's what do you call it? A sync mechanism. I can't remember the terminology, but I think I need to listen to those with much respect. I don't give myself over to them, but it does induce a very deep meditation. And I've talked to some people about it, and the people that I've spoken with feel that I was taken somewhere. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that.
So, okay. So how much time did you lose throughout this whole experience?
It was a good 3.5 to 4 hours.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
I have to add, Tom only recently did it occur to me to say, Tom, where were you during that time?
Yeah.
And it took us how long? 7 years?
7.5 years.
To even get, this thing happens in layers. Yeah. It's really odd because he was like, oh my God, Bibi, I don't know.
Oh.
He has missing time too.
That is interesting that you both had missing time and you were the one listening to it. That's very fascinating. So what do you think happened? Because I know you said you don't think that you necessarily left.
I'm not sure. First of all, I don't, I can't say for certain, but I think that I started vibrating very quickly from the meditation. Mm-hmm. And not that I'm any enlightened being by any means, but I have a feeling that I went very deep. And I've spent a lifetime meditating as well. Mm-hmm. And, I can go very deep. Would it cause a person to become invisible? Maybe. But why didn't I not hear all of the hullabaloo and the commotion? They were paging me. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. But my latest theory is maybe I was vibrating highly enough or out of this perception field that I was invisible. I don't know.
Do you think it's possible that you maybe tapped into another dimension?
Definitely. Sure.
Something next to us, I guess.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. I definitely think so. Yeah.
That's amazing. So here's another question. Do you think the fact that you were in the Denver airport played a role at that specific airport? Or do you think do you feel like it could have happened anywhere?
It's a really great question. One, I was completely unaware of anything nefarious going on. It's not that I wasn't privy to any kind of conspiracy theory or anything like that. I had been into megaliths and energies and Druidic history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was just dipping into this stuff, and I didn't know about it. It's possible. I don't know. I had another very intense experience at the San Francisco airport, but it wasn't about invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you about it really quickly?
Well, please do. I'm interested to hear.
I practice what is called by the Edgar Cayce Institute soul writing. It's not automatic writing. Edgar Cayce was very adamant that you do not do automatic writing because you open yourself up, like the opposite of what he did, right? But you open yourself up to energies that can end up controlling you, that you want to do it from a conscious state, but you do want to get into a slightly hypnagogic state. So anyway, I've been doing this for years. And there is a version who I've come to know as me, who actually came to me when I had breast cancer back in 2000. And she showed me the way. I mean, she showed me how to survive. And she's cool. She's me, but she's 8 feet tall and she's got bluish skin. And she had a husband, and I wrote about this. Mm-hmm. So I think I met the husband at the San Francisco airport. I was walking through, it was a Sunday evening, it was gorgeous, it was twilight. I hadn't been there in years. They had remodeled it, and it was big and empty, and it was big plate glass windows, and the sun was just going down, and the light was phenomenal. It was like this whiskey rose color, really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And there was this vibe. People were happy that night. And I see this guy way down, and he was dressed like in these beautiful Italian knits. I noticed these things. And he knew me. I mean, he was smiling at me he knew me. And I'm racking my brains. I was still acting. It was like that was the tail end of my acting. I've done a lot of auditions. I'm thinking, did I work with him? Did I meet him in an audition? And I'm racking he starts coming towards me. Mm-hmm. It's like he knows me like he's my husband. And I mean, honestly, the way he was looking at me at first, I did one of these. Like, he's got to be, No, it was to me, and it was pretty empty in there. He was coming in to give me an embrace, and I couldn't remember who he was. He came about 6 inches from me and then brushed past me without touching me, but I could feel the air move. And I was still for a moment, and I went, who the hell was that? I turned around. He wasn't there. He had just disappeared. So I walked, there was a chair, I sat down, and it hit me that this was a special visit, that airports are special places of transport and transition, and they're portals. So, honestly, this was also 2011. This was before the Denver airport. I was heading from LA to Chicago, and I had that morning wanted to bring an old sweater of mine. It was really threadbare and really yucky, so I left it, and I thought I need to replace it. And back at the San Francisco airport, when I found the chair, my same exact sweater, only brand new, was draped across it. And I sat down and I started laughing. And I think people thought I was a crazy woman. I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was an angel at first, but I've come to think that his name was Kierolok. I think it was him.
Wow.
So I have to do more soul writing about this. Mm-hmm. So airports are really quite extraordinary for me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Because there's people constantly coming and going, and you have all this different energy constantly flowing throughout the area. So it makes sense for it to be a portal like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
That is very cool, Bibi. All right. So I'm going to keep moving. I have a quick question for you. I don't have this written down as a question, but this is something that's been bothering me since I was listening. Oh, wait, before we move on, there's a question.
Okay.
Crystal ASMR says she gets sick in airports, like really sick. After flying, she needs 2 days in bed to recover. Do you have any insight to what might be causing that?
The first thing that came in was high vibration sickness. I get that way around really powerful crystals. It feels like seasick. That's the first thing that came to mind, but who knows? There's so many things going on. You know, I would say to Crystal, you're a highly intuitive woman. Look to see what comes up for you. And you may want to do some, pendulum or muscle testing and ask questions about it. I get great information doing that, by the way.
No, I love pendulums. I've not done muscle testing, but I do love pendulums.
Yeah. That's interesting, though. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. It is, very. I guess it causes her to avoid airports like the plague.
Yeah, really. I would too.
All right. So here's a question that after listening to all of your material is driving me crazy. Who fixed your dishwasher, Bibi?
An angel, we think. Tom is my witness. Tom is my partner in anomalous crime experiences, you see. He is. We think it was an angel. I've written about it. Mm-hmm. It's a bit long to go into the whole story, but I bought an Italian dishwasher online. Never buy an Italian dishwasher online. We couldn't get anybody to fix it. Went through a whole string of repair people. Finally, somebody came, they said they could fix it. And they said that they were sending somebody. We set up an appointment for 1 p.m. Tom was on his way to work. It was early in the morning. We hear a car pull up and break outside, and this guy in a repairman's uniform walks upstairs. I remember I said to Tom, whoa, he's really early. I mean, it wasn't even 9 o'clock. The appointment was for 1. He came up super smiley, and he came in and fixed the dishwasher. Was there for about 3 hours and left. Fixed the dishwasher. Nobody sent that repairman. The guy who was supposed to come at 1 o'clock called beforehand, and I said, it's been fixed, and we had an argument. Well, you sent somebody here earlier. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. It was one of those, and, he hung up on me. I went through nobody sent the guy, and Tom is actually on the phone. I'm going, what? And he goes, Bibi, just stop and think. You think it was an angel? I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no.
That's amazing.
We have no idea who fixed the dishwasher.
And for, to do all that research and to call all the places and have everybody say no. It's just an amazing experience.
I laugh about it, but as you go into these things, it's so mysterious.
No, it is. It's amazing.
Friends and helpers, right?
No, totally. So now we have some questions based on that. CW says, did he enjoy his flight to America?
This guy enjoyed everything. He was just a really happy, like a shining kindness kind of dude. And we were thinking, did he have a no name tag? It might not. He presented as if he was wearing a uniform.
Oh, so you didn't get a name or anything.
I just assumed that this was the guy that was supposed to come over 4 hours later. And he had a slight Eastern accent. Hello, hello, hello. It's so sweet. And we had a Shih Tzu who's passed away since then. But Franklin, the other thing, Tom goes, where was Frankie when this was happening? And I said, he wasn't around. He was not around until the guy left. And then there he was at the front door. So who knows?
Did you have to pay anything to the repairman?
I said to him, do I need to sign? He goes, no.
Okay.
So that's a really delicious thing. And the dishwasher, this was when? In 2014, so 5 years ago. This really crappy online Italian dishwasher has never broken down. It's worked faithfully since then.
Oh, so
yeah, amazing.
Awesome. So, okay, Robin is leaving. Thank you for joining, Robin, by the way. So, Liz asked, do you use crystals? And if so, what is your favorite? I know that you do. What's your favorite?
I have to say that I never got crystals at all. I thought it was New Age BS. I really did. I mean, I knew that sometime in the past, maybe in Atlantis, we utilized them for technology, et cetera, et cetera. Again, 2011, they started talking to me. This was a huge year, 2011. They started talking to me. I heard them. In particular, a Numite wand that I got, I gotten somewhere in some conference, or I don't really quite recall, but it's a big, gorgeous Numite crystal, big, heavy, highly polished. And I got the sense that I was supposed to get a camera. Not only to get a camera, I was acting then. I quit acting and I started photographing crystals. And I photograph macro, which is super, super, almost at magnification. I actually want to get deeper into that, because as I'm looking through the lens, there are crystal beings. Mm-hmm. There are parties. There are symbols being conveyed. There are tones. It's phenomenal. So there's some kind of interaction that really began when I got the camera. Well, it began before I got the camera. But they teach me how to see in the dark, for instance. There's an energy. I like to go out. I'm a night owl, and I love the velvet of the night. I really do. I love it. I mean, I love all times of day, but there's something, because I can really see the crystal energy easier. I'm getting where I can see it. It's been several years now, and this is something I practice all the time. Not just with my Numite. I love celestite, and I love Arkansas clear quartz. It's amazing. It's so incredibly programmable. Mm-hmm. And, you can, or I found that I can project with tone or voice into the crystal, and I can see at night what it looks like. So it's this ongoing love affair. The crystals are amazing. What do I do with it? It's pretty much make art. Mm-hmm. And there is channeling that goes on, but I have not brought any of that out at all. It's a personal thing.
Oh, no, of course. Have you ever been to any of the crystal mines in Arkansas?
I'm dying to go. And I was just listening to Groovy Bean and Jay Widener's new video. And Groovy was saying that she had just gone crystal digging. And I want to go to Arkansas and do it. I know there's other mines and other places. I haven't, not yet. It's on my list.
It's on my list too.
Want to go?
So,
Yeah.
okay. So someone asked, what do you think about the crystal skulls?
Let's see if I can. Oh, this is Forza Atar. Star power. I was compelled. I ordered him from a creator in England. He is phenomenal. I'm getting to know him. I've never had one before, but it's like when I hold him, it's something so comforting, and it feels like I'm cuddling with one of my pups. But there's also there's a coherency and it's a connection to the heavens and integration with the earth. I feel more, it's like going from black and white to color with this guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm still discovering him. I've only had him for a couple of months, but he's pretty amazing.
No, he looks amazing.
Yeah. Let's see if I can show you.
Do you know what kind of crystal he's made from?
Yeah, smoky quartz.
Oh, beautiful.
Go here. So in answer to your question, I'm just discovering them. I think they're amazing. I did have a session with Shana Ra in 2013. Mm-hmm. It was intense. I felt very emotional. I felt connected with a very, very fundamental part of myself that was very, very ancient. My daughters both had sessions with Shana Ra, and they both were very moved as well. It's mysterious. Because when I first saw them, I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Really? Okay. I didn't get it like so much. And then when it becomes personally revealed via your own experience, then, oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. I just recently got a crystal skull I have two technically. I got one last year and then I got another one this year. Both of them came from Lisa F.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she just gave me one at Contact.
Oh, wow.
Very cute little one right here.
Oh, look at that.
So, yeah. Yes. So, okay. Crystal with us. So I will allow it. We can do a girls' crystal hunt.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be good.
But she also wanted to know, what are your thoughts on moldavite?
Moldavite is one of those crystals that I get high vibrational sickness around. It feels like I'm seasick. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I'm looking back. I did go out of my way to get some jewelry made out of moldavite, and it might have been clear crystal. They were earrings. They were beautiful, and they went missing. I do not, crystals do that. Yeah. They go away and they come back. So I'm waiting for them to come back. I have not gone out of my way to find any. I'm thinking it feels like I might have something that I need to remember about them. They're very powerful. Moldavite is a very, very powerful crystal, no doubt.
It is a very powerful crystal. It's very, very connected to extraterrestrials as well. So, and that energy. So, Aquarian Grace wants to know, have you ever been to the North Carolina mountains and experienced the high vibration of the crystals there? Apparently, according to the 97 and 99% of pure quartz is mined there.
I have to go there. I have not been, but I have to go there now. I have to find out more. Thank you for that. Wow.
Yes. All right. So let me see if there's. Oh, also, I almost forgot. Crystal also said that she has a Shih Tzu named Franklin.
No, get out of here.
No, she did say that.
All right, Crystal. Wow.
Oh, okay. So Juanita wants to know why you chose smoky quartz for your crystal skull.
It wasn't something that I had been initially intending to bring into my life. Mm-hmm. It was a spontaneous falling in love with the photograph and the energy that I felt. I do happen to adore, smoky quartz. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's it's very grounding. It's protective. And that's why. And I think also I'm into light. I'm into the visuals. I'm a bit of a synesthetic, and I'm extremely affected by light. And I can work with my emotional tone via colors, and the way colors come through crystals, and the way it comes through smoky quartz is absolutely wonderful. So that's, it's a win-win. And this guy is so amazing. I think he's been like toning in my dreams. So I keep him on my bedside, and he pretty much stays in here, which is my studio and a bedroom and all. But he moves around. He's very special. I love this guy.
Oh no, he looks wonderful. He looks very special. And smoky quartz is my favorite grounding stone, mainly because it's not quite as sharp as other grounding stones. It's a little bit of a softer grounding.
Yes, it is. It feels like a shower of grace that for me. And the other thing is with crystalline energy, mm-hmm. When I first started out finding out about it, I read and watched videos, and my relationship with crystals is not like what other people have. I really think it's not that my experience is different. I think we each bring our own energies, and we each have our own relationship with the crystals. I mean, you can make a generalized statement about the nature of the energy and in terms of healing. And in that sense, yes, but on a personal communication, symbolic, mythical language, linguistics level, I think it's very, very personal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Crystal wants to know, what are your favorite colors?
I made up the name for my favorite color when I started getting into watercolors when I was in my 20s, and I called it Rose Garden. Mm-hmm. It's a magenta, a very soft magenta that has a hint of orange. It's definitely on the warm side, but it's not. It's soft and clear, and words can't do it. And I haven't been able to recreate it yet. I know what it is. It's part of my tone. So that's like my favorite color. But I also love colors. It's like, I can't just pick one, right? I like the contrasting experience. I like to see groups of things together. Mm-hmm. I find that very pleasurable, and it stimulates the imagination for me.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Mm-hmm. All right. So James wants to know, who are your favorite authors or creators in the field right now and or of all time?
I adore Maria Wheatley, and I know you know her.
I do. I adore her as well. I love Maria.
Just love her. And I studied dowsing and geomancy with her about 3 years ago, and I'm going to step it up, and I'm going to go into her advanced courses. She's she was mentored by her father, Dennis Wheatley, who he's passed, but he was very famous in England as an occultist and an absolute expert on ley lines and old megalithic structures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Maria, growing up at his knee, is carrying his legacy. So yeah, that's one of the reasons, Kelly, well, I saw that. And I went, oh my God. So I knew that you resonated with her. And I said, this woman is cool, because not everybody has even heard of her. So there's Maria. Let me think. In this field, are we speaking of a specific field?
He didn't specify. He just said in the field. So you can choose which field you want, because I know that we cross a few different fields.
Okay. In the field of sacred writing, I'll put that. There is a book called The Concise Yoga Vasishtha. The original Yoga Vasishtha is a dialogue that was written down, and it's humongous. It's in Sanskrit. The Concise Yoga Vasishtha, as translated by, I have it here. I don't want to take the time to look through it. It's translated into English by one of the swamis out of the University of or New York University. I keep that by my bedside at night, and it puts me into a state. And that's a whole other thing, my relationship with Sanskrit and Buddhist and Hindu traditions. But that's a book that is a classic. I love Thomas Mann. I love the writings of Thomas Mann. There is not one book that is my favorite of his. They're all spectacular. I haven't really gotten into science fiction that much. However, I'm more and more intrigued, and I like Margaret Atwood's work. I like the writing of the women more than I like the men. But I'm not that much of, I'm not that experienced in the readings of it. So it's hard for me to say, but those are the ones that come to mind for right now.
I think that's great.
Cool.
Okay. So, Jeanette wants to know, do you think that faceting a stone enhances the properties of a crystal or diminishes them?
I missed that first part. Do I think that what enhances it?
Faceting a stone.
I couldn't, what is the word?
Faceting?
Oh, faceting. Well, I think that it can, if you have a specific application of use in mind. I think that the faceting creates these angles, and it's going to enhance your ability to focus energies with the stone, depending on what the stone is. Now, I also make jewelry with glass beads. I don't like to use crystal. It's very difficult to work with. And I'll get there. I'm kind of looking into doing that. But faceted beads are really easy to work with because there's a coherency of form, which I would, just think in terms of faceted crystals. Well, look at the, what is the guy's name? I'm blanking on the name. There's a particular form of crystal, and James Tiburon talks about him a lot. And I have an imitation of it, but the actual originals are super expensive. They're supposed to be extremely powerful. There's a large bottom area, and it all comes up like it's a cylinder, but it's tapered into a point, and it's all faceted around. And depending on the number of facets, there are different applications of use. So that's where I think the faceting would be helpful. In terms of beautification, I do enjoy a polished crystal because for me, it makes the light easier for me to work with. And aesthetically, I think you're bringing out the beauty. Not every stone, not every stone by any means, but some they like, you know, it's like putting on a sari and jewelry. You know, they're beings. Oh my God. There are so many beings in my Pneumite. I have a photograph of this girl, this young woman, just out of girlhood from some place. She showed up in a photograph. And you could tell that she was a young lady who loved her pots of cosmetics. I got that about her right away. So, you know, and she's within the crystal. How is that? You know, how is that?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a connector to other places and other realms.
Okay,
And a connector to us. Sorry?
the chat wants to know if you're talking about Marcel Vogel.
Thank you. I forgot the name. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So now I forgot what I was going to ask you. Have you ever seen, just speaking of things inside of stones, have you worked with phantom quartz at all?
With what? I couldn't understand the word. Maybe I should look. With what kind of cords?
Phantom quartz.
No, I have. Oh, phantom quartz. Yes. I thought you said cords. That's why. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really been a powerful. I do have a couple. I have a twin big crystal, which is from the Coleman mine in Arkansas, that each has phantoms in terms of getting information on my biological lineage. That has been amazing. And it just occurred to me, and I feel that inspiration came from the energy of the crystal itself. Would that work for everybody? I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's an individual relationship that we each have with our crystals.
So Crystal wants to know, do you have an Etsy store for your jewelry?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's in the works, though. So that'll be coming out probably within 6 months. I would like it to be sooner, but I've been busy on the home front, and it's taking me a little longer. And I want to sell my photography. If people are interested, I mean, there, you know, certain things. Photography doesn't really sell as much because it's so accessible. The thing about jewelry, and I might put little crystal pieces, I don't know. It's tangible, you know.
It is. Ramsey wants to know if you practice scrying.
Yes, I do. I do.
All right. Davey wants to know, because everybody's throwing questions now. Davey wants to know if you have a hag's stone.
I do not, Davey.
All right. Let me see. I think there's another one. Nicholas wants to know, does agate have mystical properties?
Every crystal, I feel, has mystical properties. As to what they are, I started going by books. And there's so many different agates as well.
Yes.
I ended up seeing what happened as I worked with them. And it wasn't always what the books would say. There is an agate that I find as grounding as obsidian, and it's kind of brown with I'm terrible with names, obviously. I couldn't remember Marcel Vogel, but it's a type of agate. It's got like a reddish brown background with these little dots throughout it. And that is so grounding. But they're all, agate, in answer to your question, absolutely. Yeah.
What is your preferred method of clearing and charging your crystals?
I like to, for those that like water, because not every crystal likes water.
Yes.
I like the flow of a cool water bath. And it's just, everything gets moved. It's, I like to feel myself feeling the water along with the crystal. And I sense when, that feels good, and I do like sun bathing my crystals, but it gets, the sun here in particular in Southern California is so harsh that I only do it either really, really early morning, and I'm never up for that. So I'm a night owl. So I like to sun charge. And not every crystal likes that, but there are some. Oh my God, they love it. Particularly the warmer colored stones. Not necessarily, but in my experience, about an hour before sundown when the sun is still really, really strong. But that would vary, I think, depending on what part of the world you're in.
Mm-hmm. I think I would agree with that. I know that I've accidentally left a crystal or two out too long, and it can bleach out the crystal.
Oh, yeah. And you can, if you leave them in a window and they're in the sun, you can fade them. Some of them are very delicate, like some those beautiful amethysts. And some of the delicate quartzes, I found out the hard way. I read that you're supposed to give them salt baths, and it will exacerbate any potential crack or breaking point that is in the crystal and bring it out. Mm-hmm. So be very careful with salt. And that can be very harsh. I mean, you can dip it, or you can do a rub and then rinse it off very quickly if you like to use salt, because salt is traditionally the best cleanser in my experience. But with crystals, you have to be, careful. Intention in holding it. Sometimes there's no time to find water or to do anything. And, just like Dr. Emoto said, mm-hmm. Intention, focus, attention with intention. You can do it too, and if you don't trust it going that way, it's not going to work. I trust it and it works. So, there's a few ways you can go with it.
Perfect. All right. So let's shift gears a little bit to your photography, because Maui Pro wanted to know, and I think we kind of covered this, but you do crystal photography for the macro photography of the crystals. What other types of things do you photograph?
The hummingbirds in my garden. It's like between the crystals and the hummingbirds, and it sounds so like new agey, but it's,
I don't know.
They're just coming back. They've been missing for the last 2 years. It's been heartbreaking. Tom put up the feeders because we heard them in the morning, and they're starting to come in. But I would go out with my camera, mm-hmm. and I would go, guys. And there was this like little guy who'd come right, and he'd be like just hovering there, and he'd come around my face, and he let me photograph him. And that was where I got started. And I love the hummingbirds around here and the birds in general. I live on top of a mountain. I also live walking distance across a ravine from Paramahansa Yogananda's, autobiography of a yoga guy. The original ashram mm-hmm. that he built, and just the energy in this place is special. I don't like California, but I like my mountaintop a lot. In California, I don't have anything against California. The society, the culture, that's what I don't like. But the land, oh, it's incredible here.
I agree. What do you feel is the most I guess I'll use amazing picture that you've taken, like of something that you didn't expect to catch?
It's hard for me to answer that question because there is not just one.
Mhm.
I told you about the young lady who showed up. Now, this was in 2012, and I didn't really know anything about photography. I didn't know about keeping the original RAWs. I just had a degraded JPEG. That took my breath away. When I look at a shoot in my digital darkroom, at the stuff that comes up when I look at the RAWs, I can get lost in what's going on in each picture, and I'll zoom in and zoom in. I would say that the most amazing experience has been one of learning with my Numites, because it's known as the shaman stone. I call it the stone of the priestess. Mm-hmm. It's really, really dark and fiery earth energies. And some of the images are startling enough to be what some might find extremely disturbing, until, for me, what I did was engage, because these are beings, and I'm like, oh, no. Well, I went in, and these are elemental beings, and some of them are really powerful. And to feel one is respected by a being like that is a deep, deep honor. So I would say that is ultimately, it's not one photograph per se, it's the experience of the connection and the interaction with the beings who really do like to come through the camera and speak to me. Now, I will show what I see. Some people see it, some don't. Again, it's an individual thing, but I definitely have a relationship with many beings, crystals, and they show up in different ways. So the way they show up, I'll never know what to expect. It's never the same thing twice. And that's surprising.
That's amazing. That you have that connection with them, you're able to see them and capture them on film.
You know, what's really cool, the green kyanite is so different from the Numite in the photographs, because you will see almost a multi-dimensional fluid map of waterways and dolphin-like creatures and winged horses. So, that manifests very differently than the really fiery shamanic earth spirits at the Numite. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's fascinating, really. And I mean, I couldn't imagine my life without anything that, I'll use the word, magical. Mm-hmm. In the old sense of the word, before it became tainted and twisted. The magic abounds, and this is what I really, really want to recreate for me, for my house, for my pets, for my loved ones, for my friends. There's so much beauty in the old way we experienced ourselves. And for me, that's held in the word magical.
I love it. All right. So one more topic. So,
I'm still here. Sorry. My battery, I just realized it fell out, and then I better plug it in. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. So a few people that have followed you. Oh, wait. Before I say that, there's a question. Do you also study the paranormal? This is from James.
Do I study the paranormal?
Yes.
This only came up for me recently out of a personal experience. I lost someone very, very dear to me. And I've had a personal experience on the home front, which has taken my breath away. And it's a matter of language, because I really do appreciate the scientific methods that are being brought to bear on the paranormal right now. I'm not one who requires tangible evidence. I have enough evidence on my own where, that's not necessary. But there are people, and it's important to bring it all back. Now, I would like to know more about the paranormal, but for me, it all comes down to our human experience, metaphysical, paranormal, spiritual, scientific. It all lives as one. It's just been twisted and separated, and people are fighting about it, which is so hilariously ridiculous and tragic. But it's going to change. It is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So if that answers your question, I don't know.
I think that it does. All right. So, I'm hoping there's no nothing. I think I'm okay. I hope I'm okay. Okay. So, on to our last topic is what I was going to say. So, a few of us have heard you speak a little bit about your daughter.
Mm.
And I know that you've had a lot of experiences with her, and she's had some experiences herself. Could you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that?
My adult daughter is experiencing an incredible journey that involves having what this culture terms psychoaffective disorder. So according to the medical system we live in, it's a combination of the psychoses of schizophrenia, the really bad, intense, deep ones, along with the worst aspects of bipolar 1. So it ain't been easy, folks. And Lauren recently gave me her permission. Her name is Lauren, to share our story, her story, and my story. I think eventually she's going to come into this and have an active role in it. But for now, I mean, it's enough. So this is why I haven't been that active writing or being public. But it's amazing. And the little that I put out there publicly, I'm amazed at the feedback. So many people are affected by this. Now, in Lauren's case, it got to a point where she needed to be hospitalized for a long time because it wasn't safe for her to be unsupervised. She lives with me now. Now, she would have been the head priestess in her tribe because of her gifts. She's always been incredibly psychic. She wanted to swim away with the mermaids. Remember, I told you about that summer home, and we took the girls there when they were really little. And there was one day where her dad had to go bring her back because she was swimming way out into the lake. And she was irate, and she lived an absolutely connected, intellectual, artistic life in New York City and came and got her master's in psychology. And then this thing hit. Hard, really hard. So this is a pivotal junction point, and I need to be bringing everything that I know into this. And I'm a storyteller, by the way. I mean, this is, what I love to do. I haven't done a lot of it because I've been taking care of my kid, my child, my beauty. And it's changing. So I'm not sure where it's going, but all of what I've discussed, all of the beautiful magic and the beautiful energies and the scary energies and the tragic aspects They're all there, and they're going to be coming out in a series of stories. So thank you for that, Kelly. I wanted to put that out there.
Of course. And I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And your daughter's very lucky to have a mother such as you. Who's so understanding about it and so willing to go on this journey with her.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, as much as I hate to do it, I am going to cut the interview now. So that leaves us with more to talk about so that you have to come back.
I'm so honored that you wanted to ask me these questions. It feels so nice. And it's really wonderful to connect with you, Kelly, and your beautiful channel. And you've got a great community. So, and thanks to everybody who, came over tonight. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you again so much for joining us, Bibi. We will have you come back very soon. So we can continue this conversation.
I'd love to.
Amazing. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I will be back Friday night, same time. Probably be talking about something either ancient civilizations related or mythology related. We'll find out. Haven't decided yet. So the chat wants you to know before we go that you are a peaceful warrior and everyone loves you.
Oh, thank you. I love you guys.
All right. So everyone, if you haven't already, go down to the description, check out Bibi's YouTube channel and her website, and be sure to like and subscribe there, like and subscribe here. Love you all, and I'll see y'all soon.